Are we live?
Okay. Yeah, I'm assuming we are. My mic's going crazy on my. Yeah, it's. Oh, hang on here, Martin. I just wanted to get you something.
Oh.
I wanted to give you back your pen. But
Gee, thanks.
Yeah, there you go, eh?
I don't know how many of those over the years you've stolen.
Yeah, you ain't get the rest of them back, I can tell you that.
True, but anyways, good morning.
Good morning, Martin.
Yeah. So here we are again, talking about the waterfront properties in Georgina again.
Yeah, it's like it's our career now, I guess.
I think
you might
so.
want to say. So I'm Tim Darmbrook, and this is Georgina Speaks, and I'm happy to say this is Martin Nass that's with me, who has been with me for 40 years.
Yeah.
And we're not a couple. I don't mean
Yeah,
that.
like not like that. Yeah.
But he was my broker in 1982 when I started in real estate, and so for those of you who are not familiar with us, and so we've been discussing a number of things. A couple of things I wanted to mention before we got rolling. Yesterday was the anniversary of this council being reelected,
Oh.
for the most part, yeah. Like I think there was only one new, Waddington. I think was the only new one last time, and I seen Margaret on Facebook last night with Joe, her husband, and the pictures when they were celebrating back then.
Right.
It was nice. It was nice to see, and so congratulations, council, on your anniversary yesterday for 2 years. You got 2 more years to get it right. There's a whole bunch of budget crap I've been going over because I got too much time on my hands, and they haven't issued me my next permit yet, so that's their fault. If they give me the next permit, I might not be doing this, so I'm just kidding. So we're talking about the waterfront properties. That's primarily the shoreline action plan, or whatever the hell they're calling it these days. I don't know if you want to do a little bit of for a little bit of background on kind of where we got to where we are today is a few things. Mostly the fact that, like, what we're talking about is where they're at. The history of this shoreline, attempts to get this shoreline straightened out, the entire shoreline of Georgina, from Church Street all the way up to Jackson's Point. There's been a number of efforts over the years by a number of different councils, by a number of different solicitors, and they've all been to no avail for a number of reasons. And so the reasons are obviously there's a ton of properties involved that each have its own set of circumstances in terms of clearing title or determining, okay, who owns what, so that they can decide what to do about it, both as a shoreline and as individual properties. And so...
And I think there's also a lot of different opinions that people have about their properties. That like over the years, whether they do own it, they don't own it, or maybe they own a bit of it. Like, I think it's been pretty obscure throughout all these decades about really who owns what or what people think they may own, and that goes with the town and the actual owners.
Right.
Because I think I own over to that grass over there. I think it's and that's the problem, because I think that you come up with a great solution to do like an Rplan on this, Tim, because then they'll know what the properties are, like what's actually available. If they're going to argue over something or a title, at least they're going to have an Rplan and a surveyor's idea of what is actually there on every property owner's basis. So it'd be a great thing to start off with, I think, because then you know what we're all arguing about, or trying to negotiate. If you don't know what you're negotiating with, then
100%. So that I believe is actually that nails right on the head what's been the problem all along, and an understandable problem. Nobody in particular is at fault for not doing something. It's just the circumstances are so complex until you can identify, okay, what are we dealing with, and
right.
To just keep trying to deal with it without finding that out is finally defining that is the big thing. So I guess there's a few. I wanted to clean up where we are as far as I sent a letter to the town. I had my lawyer send a letter to the town because I don't believe what they did on the July 24th meeting of last year. The last step was highly irregular, highly improper in my opinion.
Right.
And it gets more interesting if you believe it or not. If you think that it could, because basically at that meeting, after a year or two of the almost 4 years of the residents and the ad hoc committee trying to work with council, trying to say, we'll work along here, we'll agree to absorb the cost in the end for whatever pieces we buy. Like everybody's working for a solution, and up until that point, it was all good. Like they were trying. Everybody was working in good faith. So somewhere it went awry, and I believe it's, as always, is in the hands of the consultants and the lawyers and stuff. As soon as you get that, then council gets kind of in a position where they're being told what not to do or what to do, not deciding what to do.
Right.
Right. So then, fast forward to that meeting itself. The whole project was raised. A number of people from the residents got up and outlined a number of issues that they have with the report that came back that day from a bunch of recommendations from the town lawyer. And so I gotta say, the residents had people there with lawyers with lots of experience with this. So it wasn't like, a bunch of people standing up just screaming about our high taxes and stuff. It was people actually trying to address issues. And so one of the issues that came up was, do we actually know if we own these properties? That was Councillor Waddington. Once again, I'll be tipping my hat to him for the rest of my life on that one, because he actually brought it up. Him, Dave Neeson had some concerns he had raised. Rob Grossi had some concerns. Unfortunately for his sake, he got kind of struck out after. But so council was raising concerns about that issue. What are we doing here? So when he said, do we actually know that we own these properties or not? Every council member at that point in time said a resounding no, we don't. And the mayor actually got annoyed at the question and said that we already know that. So there they are. And that's the council. That was their position right there and then.
Right.
That lawyer, Andrew Biggert, has been advising them for the last 2 years up to that point. So clearly he had advised them that no, we don't actually know. So then the next logical question, when Councillor Waddington, said the next logical question was, well, then why the hell are we spending money on a bunch of properties that we don't even know that we own?
Right.
And that's where things took a little bit of a turn and headed south.
Yeah.
Yeah, because council was council trying to have a proper discussion about the issue. And it looked to Mr. Biggert, it seemed like he was going to lose his paycheck going out the window when they were going to turn down his recommendations or something, because all of a sudden he jumps in and goes, no, I know that we own so many. And Councillor Waddington said if he had to put a percentage, 90%. And he said, oh, more than that for sure, guaranteed more than that, blah, blah, blah. Based on the Rusty Russell opinion, which is the opinion of the whole, it was a legal opinion on it. So at that juncture, council was doing what they're supposed to do. They were making their decision based on his own advice for the last 2 years. And out of the blue, he jumps in with that. So that's him. He didn't say it's my opinion. He said, I know. And that's how this whole thing got turned south, because they were trying to go along and do the right thing. So that's just my opinion. I have some opinions regarding what I would do regarding his tenure,
Yes.
But that's up to council to decide. So that's where things got south. And so to address that, with the reports and everything they're doing, in that same, his famous "We Own Everything" speech, I like to call it, he went on to say that that his other recommendation is that they have to get appraisals. I don't know if you've seen that, but
I saw the flow chart about that.
A flow chart, 5-page flow chart for the next step. Talk about a consultant's wet dream. I mean, Jesus, I don't get where they get all that stuff going on. So now he's declared they own everything. So then based on that, he says that he actually said this right there. Everybody in the gallery was like in shock when they heard him. He said, council has to get appraisals. We can't do it for the surplus land value like they normally do, blah, blah. Because of public perception, they have an obligation to the public interest, blah, blah, blah. And so he said, so we have to get these appraisals, because council, to their credit, were questioning, why do we have to do this? Yes. I mean, and he said, well, because of public perception. And then he said, well, don't worry. If the value comes in at $1 million, then they can apply their judgment and bring it back down to nothing. Like, Stupidest thing I've ever heard come out of a lawyer's mouth in my 63 years. Now, having said that, he's a good lawyer and he's an intelligent guy, and he was speaking. I don't agree with that rationale by any. Nobody actually agrees with that rationale.
Right.
But all he was doing was getting his recommendations accepted. I think he overstepped his bounds there that night. He influenced counsel. He decided for counsel. Counsel was trying to decide what to do, and instead of allowing them to have their discussion based on the information he had been providing in the past,
Right.
namely, we don't know if we own these, can't know. He decided to say, oh no, I know we own them, and that is going to be the subject of a claim. I'm hoping to avoid any confrontation at all, legal especially, if possible, moving forward. And so...
Well, I think that, you've given some history here, and I think that I take it you talked to some people with regards to doing the Rplan. I think that's just really intelligent, because everybody on those lakefronts, you can't put everybody in the same basket.
No.
Like, they're different properties and different types of things, and the roads different in the places, and they've changed things, and and so it'd be really nice to know exactly what the elephant is in the room.
Yeah.
And to see exactly what's involved in all of this, and to even have an opinion on something when you don't know what's involved is really weird. I don't know how anyone could say, well, we think we own over 90% of these things, when you don't even know what it is. Now if they had the Rplans, excuse me, and then they said, okay, well, here's my opinion now. I've seen the Rplans, and I think, well, maybe it's 56% or something. But they just to put everybody in the same. Oh yeah, 90. I don't get it.
That in that meeting, him making that statement to get counsel to change their mind when they were trying to get to the right conclusion was wrong. He never should have done that.
Right.
And it threw the whole thing off track, because they were on their way to having a discussion about it. An argument for those who disagreed. God love them all, and he decided to pipe in and take control and say, no, I know we own, and that was very wrong, I believe. And so, to get back to what I believe is what should be the focus of today's podcast, I went over this entire issue with. I've talked to a number of lawyers. Originally, when this issue came up, and then in recent weeks with different people who had been involved in the past, and past opinions, present opinions, and so on. And I had a good chance to talk to a couple of surveyors. Ted Garden.
Right, yeah.
I
knew his dad better.
Yeah, I knew his dad better too. Actually, I've known Ted better because I've done a lot of in recent years, and I don't want to put words in Ted's mouth. I don't want to. This is just my taking the information that they gave me and putting my opinion to it. But one thing is really clear, and that is that until you get that Rplan done, which is the survey of the entire waterfront stretch, and it identifies each individual parcel, until you do that, you can't even know what we're talking about.
Right.
And in the spirit of that, never mind the town, we own everything, because that's just nonsense. And to that particular fact, I've had a look at a few, and I've phoned around, and people who have had history of. There are people along that entire stretch, some who have actually put their property into land titles.
Right.
Part of the land titles process is circulate the interested parties, like you're doing a severance or something. If you're doing something with title, if the land titles office is going to certify you title absolute, and when that process is finished, that title cannot be contested. There's people that have put their properties into land titles. It's expensive though. It's like 10 grand or
Yeah.
So that's why the most of them haven't. But the ones who have, the town was actually petitioned and they had the right to object if they had an ownership interest.
Right.
And they sent back, no, they declined. So don't tell me they own 90%. The ownership is, everybody has a right to challenge it based on their own set of circumstances for that particular property. If the Rplan gets completed, the point in all of it, I believe, is each individual town person will know what they own. Or not what they own. I don't know, that's bad language.
Yeah.
They'll know what we're talking about,
Yes.
what piece of property that we're talking about in relation to them.
Yeah.
So then when they all say, and I believe that they all have expressed an interest of getting this resolved,
Yeah.
and quieting their title, which is the proper term that Mr. Biggert keeps backpedaling to now.
Yes.
Yeah. So so once you have identified all that, then when the town says we're going to keep this one, whoever that individual property owner is that's in front of that has a right to say, no, I have an interest here. He has a right to challenge it. He has a right to, or I believe in this case, everybody wants to get it done. They'll say, okay, I get it. So I'll pay the fee. I'll pay so they have their say. Everybody has their rights. And there's a lot of individual rights here.
Yes, there is. One of the things, Tim, that I mentioned before, I'm hoping that the people along the lakefronts are going to see this podcast, or at least know about it anyway.
Right.
But I think that also they should really look in their lawyers' packages and see if they're for their title insurance.
Yeah.
And if their title insurance is active, most of them aren't, by the way, because they exclude it because of the problems.
Right.
But some of them didn't exclude that, and so they may have some resources behind them on a title insurance basis, and perhaps they should get in touch with you and Colin, like the lawyer that you've been dealing with, and maybe say, you know what, we're willing to do something or not do something, but there might be some more clout there in the sense of, and they've already paid for this title insurance, and this is exactly what we're talking about, I think. If they've excluded it, then forget about it. But if they haven't, they might.
There's that aspect, definitely. There's another avenue that for funding, if it might need be, that some of them might have funding available because their title insurance covers it.
Right.
The other thing is that it sounds like a lot of properties, 150 whatever number of properties it is, but out of them all, they'll all fall into some certain categories. Oh, this one's the same as that one, so it falls into that. So like 20 of them might fall into this category. You might end up with 4 or 5 categories of circumstances and issues to deal with.
Right.
And you'll find solutions, and when you do, that'll settle a big block of them. And then that's the steps towards getting this done. And if the council wants to get this done, this is the only way. Yeah. And I'm not going to say I know, I'm going to say I believe, but your 40 years of experience and my, fumbling along, I believe that this is a really decent opportunity to move forward.
Yeah, and actually it's something that has been a bit of a thorn for everybody, and hopefully with any luck they can solve it.
Yes.
And as I had mentioned to you before, I think the one-way thing might be a way of getting, when it's all said and done. When it's all said and done, like they might just say, you know what, if we did this, we could get rid of maybe a big block of issues with just doing.
Well, sure. If the traffic is all going one way, you don't have so much of this going on a very narrow corridor and all that stuff. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yep. So we got ideas anyway. I don't know if anybody's listening.
But to get the thing moving forward, I'm just trying to remember where I was at there now, because I got all excited to make a point, but my brain, my brain went into the other room.
Yeah, it happens.
It does happen.
Sorry about that.
Tell Barb I said hello.
No, I don't even know. I didn't even look.
To get back to the issue of the Rplan.
Yeah.
If you look at the Rusty Russell report opinion, if you look at Charles Loopster's. Now, Charles Loopster was actually the town lawyer on a number of issues. Him and I were up against it on one of our town issues in the court. So one of the foremost authorities during his tenure in municipal law. Mm-hmm. Linton, Leck and Monteith, one of the oldest and most respected law firms in town, represented the association, I think in 80 or 82. Loopster was in 90 or 92. The Rusty Russell report was 1990. Every single person involved, and 2 town lawyers in that paperwork, when they were trying to propose a solution, the first step everybody proposed was the Rplan.
Right.
Get the Rplan done, then you know what you're dealing with. Yeah. Then the town will know if they actually own stuff. Yeah. And it'll be evident to everybody, and then all the taxpayers. And as much as I don't want to be here sticking up for educated rich people, but the bottom line is they have been paying the highest taxes in Georgina since its inception. Thank you very much. Yeah. And they've been paying it for their waterfront status. Yes. They haven't been paying it just because.
Well, it brings value to their property, and having these issues that we're having, it will definitely have an effect on their values.
This is a great segue into another thing that I stumbled across when I had too much time on my hands. Just before I get to the proposal that we're talking about, when this council got elected, so I started going over budgets because somebody said this to me, and so I checked it all out because when this council got elected, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no. So when this council got elected, since this council got elected 6 years ago, anniversary's last night, the property values have gone up minimum 50%.
Yes. Yeah.
Doubled in some cases, but 50% is the same. Right.
Yeah.
So if you apply the same mill rate to the 50% increased market value, you're looking at a 50% increase in pay. And past councils, up until this council got in, and I checked this out too, because I had a couple of people tell me, we're always able to keep the budget to somewhere around the rate of inflation, 4%. Like whatever it was, they tailored their budget to shoot. That was, and they succeeded in that goal most of the time. Now, this year alone, we're going up to 7%, or as much as. So this council somehow has got a 50% increase in budget, and then on top of that, another 40% because it's going to 7 from 4 on percentage. So that's not what I would say prudent, governance as far as the budget's concerned. And I just gotta, and I checked it out, and it's actually a fact. So I haven't figured out.
Well, I'm sure with the COVID and all this kind of stuff is affecting everybody doing everything on this stuff, But
Yeah.
they should still have to keep it in line.
Well, I'll teach you to lock us down, because now we get to check up on you. We have too much time on our hands. I'm only kidding. Council, they're doing their job best they can. They're making their decisions. But again, there's no coincidence that this council, because they were all new, are more prone to relying upon lawyers and consultants and it's the same group that right now has a $38 million Merc proposed that's going to end up being 60 by the time they finish the cost. Right. And that's the taxpayers are going to have to pay that bill. And considering that they've got a 200% increase in pay, not the councillors' talent and revenues, that they might not want to be thinking about doing that kind of thing. So that because like I said, I can't sleep, so I started looking that stuff up.
Well, that might be the next issue that we have is that because I think that they did the hub in Sutton, and I think it went quite a bit over budget, and I'm sure that the Merc or whatever this thing is, I'm not keeping up. I just know they're kind of doing stuff, but
right.
If it comes in on budget,
well, that's what I rail against so seriously, and it is, for example, when Rob was getting his rock approved. And he believed in what he was doing. He fought hard, and I respect that. But there's some hellish debates about it, and there was people stormed the council chambers and having their discussion on it. It went, but in the end, it went. It's there. It provides a public service. A lot of kids having a good time. There's a conference center there, so there's this. You can do this with it, and we have it, so we deal with it. But at least during the process, not anymore. What happens is all those people show up who have a right to have a say. They're there to be heard as citizens, and the mayor and council have a lawyer there, and everybody gets up and has their say, and they go, "Oh, that's nice," and then next, and then nobody gets anything considered because the consultants and the lawyers have already told council, "Oh, no, this is how you have to do it, and this is what you have to do." So that's who's running the town, to some degree.
Yeah.
And it goes up and down, but I think the higher budgets is the direct result of that, because consultants, nobody spends money like consultants. People that don't have to pay the bill, they spend money like crazy. Anyway, so that's that. So I'll try to keep it reined back into this issue, but so here's the thing. Everybody involved who know about these things, all the lawyers and past councils, every one of them in dealing with this have agreed the Rplan should be done that's the first step in any proposal. First step has always been the Rplan. This council, I don't know why the lawyer would counsel them not to do it. They said because of cost, but they've spent $100,000 on this and $100,000 on that study. Do the Rplan, $120,000. They have an estimate high-end budget of somewhere around $120,000.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah.
But for $120,000,
yeah,
to solve the entire waterfront issue, to put them in a position to solve it.
Yeah.
And without it, you cannot solve it. You cannot even make a proposal. So for that kind of money, to get it resolved, I think it's money well spent. And I don't think anybody would object. Yeah. And because it's the residents' issue, because it's such the resident in the town, and it is the residents in the town. It's not public arena, and it's not. The mayor keeps trying to get it into public arena because then she gets to do whatever she wants in the public interest. Right. It doesn't work like that. these are private properties. They don't belong to the town. They're properties where title is being challenged in a lot of cases and can be challenged and with all the different circumstances. So this is not a public and ought not to be discussed as if it's a public thing and they have public interest to concern themselves about. They ought to concern themselves about the people there that have been paying taxes for 50 years and the highest. So, where did I go with that? Because I get carrying on. So the thing is but what I would recommend that the residents do, they have a real good committee. They got really good reps. Dave Selassie's he's experienced, past councillor. Darrell Blanche has got a real history of money. Like he's a chartered accountant, specific class. I can't remember what class it is, but bright boy. He knows what he's doing. He's got some good, and he's been very patient with all the residents and with council and Alan Darrenfield. He's got decades of experience in the legal. So they have really good people there who've been trying to get this done. And so I would recommend what they do is offer the town a $25,000, $30,000, like somewhere around there. They have money there for a legal fund.
Right.
So that they have to start challenging. And they've been so patient trying to get it done. And then council made the mistake, and I believe it's the lawyer's fault, that nobody's going to challenge it because the mayor actually told me that. I'm not going to go there. So they're vested, if they offered a good chunk of deposit towards the Rplan, if council will agree to order the Rplan, take that deposit to pay towards it, and it all will get recouped when people buy their properties anyway. That's in the intent, and that's in the schedule and the recommendations. So there's nothing at risk. So they can order the Rplan, and once that's ordered, that is the first and the last step towards getting this finally resolved.
Right.
If they don't do it for any reason, council, I honestly believe that council doesn't want people that do not have our interest in heart, I don't mean council. Council definitely has our interest in heart. I mean the consultants and the lawyers who aren't answering to anybody. It's not in their interest to get it done because this just gets it resolved. There's no fight. It's very clear. Yeah. Anyway, so what I would recommend, and I'm going to send this letter, which has this full recommendation. I posted it yesterday, but I'll send it to the group, to the committees.
Right.
And you read the letter?
Yeah, I did.
Does that make sense to you?
Oh, that perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just what you just said. Like this is how we got to start. How they need to start this thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good one.
Yeah. So
I read it and I thought it was well done, and I think it's right to the point. It's good.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. And I apologize for being all over the map today, but I've been going all over this stuff for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I'm facing a very serious, expensive legal battle if I have to take this, and I will. I'll do it because it's what's going on now. It does not represent justice. It's totally. I have no trouble going before a judge with this stuff. I mean, with what the lawyer did and all the rest of it, it's insane. So I apologize for being all over the map a bit, but one thing is really clear. Everybody recommended involved in this, who have experience with it, the Rplan is the first step. Yeah. They keep saying they don't want to have it done because of the high cost. But without it, they already spent over $100,000, and they won't even release the numbers because they don't want anybody to know what they spent. But there's been freedom of information requests, and they've said, well, we can't really identify it because, funny, if they can identify an extra $2 I owe on my taxes, it's on the next bill, like right down to the $2 in $1 million budget. Call me silly. They could identify the cost if they wanted to, but for whatever reason, they don't. So $100,000 in what they've been doing for money that it'll come back to them. So they're not wasting it. It will be recouped when the project is finished. So, I did want to take my best shot at paying off council to get this done. If they accept this offer and the residents and council can work it out, I will bake every member of council one of my infamous cherry cheesecakes. I got back in the kitchen, because it was driving me crazy. Well, you know what? I got so tied up with this and moving and that, so I was happy to get back into the kitchen. I cooked some Scotch eggs the other day and a couple of nice cherry cheesecakes last night. So that's a bona fide offer. When residents and council get back on track with this, I will deliver the cherry cheesecakes, and that's.
Well, that's one of the things when Tim starts cooking, everybody that follows him on Facebook or wherever they're following him, we all gain 10 pounds, you know, so
Well,
just
hey,
looking at the stuff on the,
Why you fools out there trying to buy votes with cash? Bring them the food.
yeah, go for the stomach.
Go for the stomach and do it. Yeah. So anyway, with all sincerity and thanks, Martin, this I believe would be a genuine opportunity to get the whole thing back on track. I know that the guys that are running the committees are trying, and they don't know nobody knows what to do because of what that lawyer did to the council's process. Right. Council was there having a discussion, raised some honest questions, and instead of allowing them to have the discussion and really address it, I don't know why he would step in, but he jumped in the middle of it and made a bunch of misstatements that he made their decision for them that night, as opposed to allowing them to have their discussion. That's not proper, and it will be addressed. If council and the committees can get back on track and the residents get back on track, nothing will make me happier, because I will just suspend anything that I'm doing, and I'll respect whatever they want me to do.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, you know, we're trying to help people here and maybe get the information out.
A solution. We're all looking for a solution.
Yeah, we come up with a few ideas, and maybe if anybody has any ideas, give Tim or I a call, because we'll be happy to again talk about it on here. Of course. And then maybe we'll all come up with something that works.
I believe if council gets into this proposal seriously, is a sign of good faith, that the residents are putting up a nice chunk of dough, so then council knows everybody's on, and that reinforces their rights to participate, because council, through their bad advice they were getting, and I'll say it was bad advice, it was disgusting advice, that you don't have to talk to these people because we already own it. You don't have to consider any of their concerns because we already own it. You don't already own it. And if the lawyer said the right thing that night, the same advice he's been giving them for 2 years, that's why they had their knowledge of the fact that we don't own it came from him.
Yes.
He's been their lawyer for the last 2 years. They're being honest and saying, we don't know if we own what we own or whatever. And then he decided he didn't like that. So he jumped in and said, no, we own everything. I got to quit going back there, because I can tell you, everybody in the gallery that night that I've spoke to that stood in that gallery was incensed.
Yeah.
At that guy would interfere with.
Yeah, I haven't seen that clip. I wouldn't. Can we? Maybe we can post that.
Yeah. You know what? I'll post it again. I'm going to post this, but I'm going to send this clip also to the entire residents, so it can be circulated among them all, along with this recommendation that you and I put together for the
perfect
for the Rplan. So that's good. And you know what? I believe that council, to the best of their ability, based on the consultants and stuff that they're using, and staff, you get a pass always, because you're just waiting for your instructions, and I get that. So yeah.
All right. Well, I think we can probably tie this up then, Tim. I think you got the idea of the Rplan. Let's see what the reaction is to that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Thanks so much. I did want to thank the residents. Like my Facebook Messenger and my phone is kind of almost gone off the hook. And every single one of them, they said thanks to us. Thank you very much, Martin and Tim, for your support and your efforts. Yeah. And lots of cash has been offered. So this offer is an opportunity to take that willingness and people's willingness to put some money on the line and participate. Yeah, that's a fair game, and council should bite at it. And that's my opinion anyway.
Well, let's see what happens.
Thanks again, Martin, as always. I can't wait to do this again, and we'll get back to other budget things. And very important, I have a new song coming out. It'll be, by the time we sit down again, I'll have it. It's coming from my musicians in Cuba.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do songs with them, and so I'll send them something I've written with a melody, and they just put that incredible music that they do.
Yeah.
Send it back. So I'll have a completed song in a couple of weeks. So anyway, I'm all excited, guys.
Okay.
Thanks.
Take care. Thanks,
Take
guys.
care.
See ya.